Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time.
Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, welcome to the Robb Crocker Show, featuring myself, Alex Gonzalez, and also featuring JB, Jared Burrows, in the studio, as always.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And of course, we have the man of the hour, the legend, Robb Crocker, from the Robb Crocker Show. How are you doing?
Let's get it on. If it ain't black, it's got to be white.
Has to be.
Hope everybody had a good week. I think tonight might be a little milder than last week.
It doesn't have to be.
No,
It does not have to be.
if we can just keep everybody on the ship, just don't push her off.
That was great.
What? Mommy! Call mommy! I don't know what the highlight was last week, but there was quite a few. So, a new week. And as we all know, with the administration we've got and the world that we live in, it's constantly moving. So we're going to start out with tonight, the song we just heard, Closing Time. I think it's appropriate. As this weekend happened, there was over 200 illegals that were criminal illegals that were flown to Guatemala. I don't know if any of you guys saw them land and how they were treated.
Yeah, it was like 250 or something like that.
It was pretty intense.
And they were treated like criminals.
They got off. They went in this maximum prison. As you read about this prison, once they're in there, they never leave that area. They're in there with 70 people. They never see daylight again. They shave their heads. They shave their beards. And that has got to be the ultimate deterrent to not come and break the law in America. But people still will break the law.
Of course.
Because as that was happening, you had a judge that was ruling against that from happening.
Which I think is criminal in itself, because that judge is obviously corrupt and is only doing what he is doing to serve not the American people or the citizens, but whoever is funding his pocketbook.
That judge is not an elected official. He was an appointed individual from some political party. And I think as long as things like that are out there, what you just said, Gonzo, is true. I think there is somewhere, somehow, someone funding his mental capacity to make decisions based off of political preference.
No, absolutely.
Not the reality. Because if the world and the people who were running it actually cared about what was going on, you wouldn't have the lunacy and the toxic behavior that you see from people who don't want America to be a better country. It makes no sense to me, JB. Why is it that someone rational wants boys to play girl sports? Why is it that someone rational doesn't want fuel to be cheaper? The interesting part about it, because we're going to bounce around all night tonight because we got so many parts and pieces. We just landed the astronauts back from the space station. Actual news coverage companies did not cover that event.
Oh, man.
So you explain that to me. Is it because they're anti-American or anti-Trump / Elon Musk?
Yeah, most likely. The latter, most likely. Because a win for them would be a win for America, but they would never say anything anti-American because it will immediately backfire on them.
Right.
Even though it's very obvious
Back
at this
in the
point.
day, I feel like even you would have people, or the news organization would cover something like this and say, look, this is a huge step, this is great, whatever it is.
It would have
like,
been celebrated.
Like the moon landing, for example. No matter
Maybe.
allegedly. But covering the moon landing, regardless of who was president, they would have done that. Now it's like, well, we can't really cover this because it says good job to Elon Musk, the bad guy, and basically give him credit for something. We don't want to give him any good publicity.
Well, the thing about it is, without SpaceX, no one would actually be even traveling from America to the International Space Station. Because when NASA was shut down and you saw what happened with Boeing, which anytime that you're doing things like this, mechanical issues do come up. Whether it's Boeing's fault or whoever's fault it is, shit happens. It's just part of it. But fortunately, Elon Musk has developed Starlink and SpaceX, and he is continuously launching rockets, and he is perfecting something that is very difficult. I think it's pretty impressive when you see this booster launch this up and the booster comes back and lands where it took off from. Why no one would want to give them credit is beyond me.
Yeah. And even like,
They would have 4 years ago.
but even if you were able to take the bias out and say, look, we're not going to, they don't have to necessarily like promote Elon Musk, but they could say, this is a great thing that SpaceX has done. The people at SpaceX, which realistically, Elon Musk is not the one doing it, but his company, SpaceX, has employed great people, smart people that have been able to figure this out. So could you at least give those people recognition who have really nothing to do with Elon Musk and his politics? You could separate that and say, listen, these people have spent hundreds of hours every week working on this issue, and they've been able to fix it. It's great. Look at what they've done. And you don't have to mention Elon Musk at all. You can't even go to that step.
You need to acknowledge the incredible feat to the people who devoted their life and time to create the opportunity and the ability to take something and do what they're doing with it.
Yeah. I think another reason they don't want to talk about it too much is because of the fact that Elon Musk spent 6 months trying to do it under the Biden administration, and he was essentially blocked from doing it.
Sad.
So the more you talk about it, the more you're kind of exposing that too. And it's like, hey, well, this could have been done 6-7 months ago.
It could have been done the day they were stranded.
Realistically, it could have been done that week for sure. Elon Musk could have probably had something, SpaceX could have had something ready to go, but he was blocked from doing it. So that's part of the reason why it took so long to get them back.
So what I fear by talking about what we're talking about, that whole scenario could transition. Well, we already know that it did with FEMA, with Helene in Western North Carolina. Anytime that you allow situations that happen in this country to become a political pawn, the American people suffer.
Yeah.
So in suffering, sometimes they're going to need a shot of Branch and Barrel bourbon.
Yes. Whether it's the flagship bourbon, whether it's the wheated bourbon, or even the tawny port aged. I prefer the wheated bourbon specifically. This one's definitely my favorite. I'm drinking it right now. Branch and Barrel, the best whiskey in all of Colorado and the rest of the world very soon. Blackheart gear is what we're repping as well. Make sure you message us to get some hats. The orange hats are very popular right now. We've got some shirts as well. Jared's wearing a nice shirt. He forgot he was wearing. But yeah, Blackheart gear, Branch and Barrel, supporting the show as always. We appreciate them.
And don't forget the Cigar Guys.
Of course, the Cigar Guys. Brought to you by the Cigar Guys.
But in saying everything that we say, we're very lucky to have Branch and Barrel, Blackheart gear, the Cigar Guys, because it takes a team to make things successful.
Like getting astronauts back from the space station.
Exactly. That's where I was going. With SpaceX doing what they did, there was a lot of people that actually wanted to see this mission fail. They wanted to see it become a disastrous situation so that they could use it to throw it at Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And that's a shame that this country has become so weakened and lessened because of just jealousy. As you said, JB, 4 years ago, man, Elon Musk walked on water. There's video of Elon Musk and Obama walking down the tarmac at Cape Canaveral. So it's become so political, just like Tesla dealerships getting burnt up, Tesla charging stations. In the reality of the real world, that's crime. Those people should be punished, just like the people at the college campuses who were protesting Israel, pro-Hamas people. It's illegal. You are protesting against the United States of America. Why are people upset? Because these people are getting arrested and they're getting deported. They're here on a visa. Your visa says, I'm proud to be an American person here. I will represent the United States of America in a positive light. So it's real simple. If you're breaking the law, get your ass kicked out, go back to Syria, go back to the cave, wherever you came from. I really don't give a shit. Just get the hell out of our country that we all love and are very passionate about, the red, white, and blue flag.
Mm-hmm. If your country and your values and your culture was so great to begin with, number one, why did you leave to come to the United States? And number two, why are you trying to bring the very thing you fled from to this nation? It doesn't make sense to me.
I think hatred is contagious, JB. All of these people at these schools, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. What are you there to do? I know people who go to college, they go there, freshmen, they want to get away from their house. Mm-hmm. They want to party. But these people are there anti-Israel, anti-everything. Back when Vietnam was going on, I can understand, anti-Vietnam. But they were protesting something that was going on in America. They didn't want to see people.
It was affecting us and the American citizens that were over there fighting the war.
Their brothers, their sisters, their uncles, people were getting drafted from this country, going to fight in something that people didn't believe in.
Right.
That's a completely different ideology than what we see here. You are basically preaching hate. I hate Jewish people. Jewish people should be decimated. And I think there's another word. They want to be eliminated. What's the word?
Genocide.
There you go. Genocide. So why is it that people get more upset when a sympathizer for Hamas is getting arrested, possibly getting sent back to his country? Why do people want them to stay here?
Honestly, what I think is crazy about one of the things you just said is that they're calling for essentially genocide of the Jewish people, let's say. And these are the same people that called Donald Trump Hitler as if it's a bad thing, but they are advocating for arguably the same thing that Hitler was advocating for. So it just doesn't make sense. Sorry, what were you saying, Jared?
There's several, I think, things that help like entrench us all together. Where I think that main reason they want young people to, which will be voters for the next several decades, to be, really involved and start to protest and get involved in other battles and other wars in other countries, because it puts the United States back at war again. The inevitable, the inevitable wars that never end, right? Always like borrowing money, sending money over, and just keeps doing the thing over and over again. We have to end the wars, or
so
at least end the funding.
They've flipped it from where back in the day it was we're protesting against the war,
or against the war,
against Vietnam. Now we're protesting for war, which
is ironic because leftists you would ironically think they're anti-war, yet they always commit the crimes. They always go out and like destroy, as you said. Virtually anything. Anytime they claim protest, it's going to be something violent happen. Someone's either going to be killed, something's going to be destroyed, something's going to be defaced. It's always the same thing over and over again. And it's always funny they show up on Thursday. Like, remember when they went to the Trump Tower on Thursday? Did they not have jobs? Who's paying them to be there? Someone's paying these people to be so angry for no reason? And then you ask them in person why they're there. And that one guy even said on TikTok, whatever, that he was there. He was being paid to be there, right?
Exactly.
The lunacy of people protesting is one thing. But when you hide your face and you hide from what you believe in, that's chicken shit.
Do you actually believe in it then?
No.
You're not proud of it for sure.
So
Yeah, but real fast. Remember, Democrats came up with welfare, right? So they'll always do something for a handout. That's why people show up at protests. People become violent. And then you get a lot of people in a small area. You run into each other. It evokes violence anyways. Right?
do you do mosh pits?
No. No.
Neither do I. But that's similar to the scenario where you made a very good statement, JB, to where it is the peace-loving side of the country that actually creates the violence. And as we speak of this, I can hear someone in my head telling me, well, what about January 6th? That'll be the comeback for anything and everything that you say, whether it's George Floyd riots, where the former vice president of the United States was bailing people out, raising money to do this. Chaos creates chaos. And when you step back and you look at it from the 10,000 foot view, there's only one side of the fence where chaos continually happens.
Well, you just said that this party of peace is the one that is actually promoting the violence by the protests, and then that comeback is like, well, January 6th, the party that is quote unquote for war and all this and that, really quote unquote caused this insurrection, but it wasn't actually an insurrection. So everything's flipped per se. Everything is not what it seems. It's like this is a violent protest, but it's actually a peaceful protest, and this is a peaceful protest, but it actually is an insurrection. So it's like right before our eyes, it's blatant lies and blatant using like the opposite for purposes of commentary and trying to convince you that one side is bad and the other side's good when it might actually be flipped.
What I see with my own eyes is, I've told you guys previously, from the time I wake up till I go to bed, I'll flip the channels and I'll look at other news networks and I'll listen to what they're saying. And I'm like, they are so disconnected with the everyday American. Mm-hmm. People want to be safe. People want to pay less for groceries. It's ironic that you don't hear anything about the cost of eggs right now. You know why?
Is that?
Because eggs have come down 35% since Donald Trump took office.
Interesting. What about inflation?
Fuel, we'll get to inflation, but gas is at the lowest point that it's been in since Trump was president.
Interesting.
Why is that? Because he's doing what he said he was going to do. You can't move heaven and earth in one day. Can't even move it in 55 days. I think today's 55 or 56.
Well,
but he is damn sure trying.
yeah.
That's the difference. He is actually trying to where you had another individual who was basically MIA the whole time he was there.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. It took him 4 years to push the mountain in the opposite direction. And I think that Trump can push it back to where it was a lot sooner and then use the rest of his administration to push it even further.
Without the auto pen.
No.
Without the auto pen.
No.
He actually really enjoys using his Sharpie.
Because it's authentic, doing it in person, on record, and in front of the people. I really respect it,
We were
honestly.
talking about this
It
before.
takes time.
I think it should be requirement for any president in the future, when they're signing an executive order, it needs to be in front of a camera, in front of an audience, physically signing it. None of this auto pen stuff. You have to actually watch them sign it to avoid what we had last administration.
Accountability, dependability, and responsibility starts at the top, and it's a transition all the way down to the kindergartner who's learning how to write. When you write your name means something. I'm tired of everybody, whether you're this little or this big, no escaping out of your responsibility. You gotta learn, you gotta know that actions have consequences. If you fuck up, own it, move on, learn from it. But unfortunately, I use occasionally vulgar language.
Occasionally.
I don't even know if it's vulgar, it's just passionate. I look at it as I speak passionately. But the Democratic Party has decided that every word they use now needs to be a cuss word. They feel that it has more meaning. And what they're doing is embarrassing themselves.
It's emotional language.
It has no meaning. When I say GD, I either hit my finger with a hammer, I've done something to create pain to where I express it. But for me just to go out and say, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, go F yourself. It's an act, man. It's just an act. It has no emotional attachment to anybody. So the sad part about it is you've got 30% of people who are irrational, toxic, that you're never going to go back to the Barack Obama, whether you agreed with Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, or Hillary Clinton, they've all stated things that we all three believe in. Do this, immigration, and it's only dissipated as you've got the AOCs, you've got the Omar, you've got the Crockett from Texas. They are getting away from the reality of the world, of
You're
the
talking
common
about,
person.
like Barack Obama did say that we needed to have a stronger stance on immigration. Also, he was supposedly the one that deported the most immigrants out of any president recently, or his stance on gay marriage originally, or like we were talking about earlier, he was the first one, or one of the first people to say, hey, we need to cut back on government wasteful spending. We were talking about this earlier. He was the first one to like create the Doge, for example.
Yeah.
He had his own department where he was trying to cut back on government waste. But now, him and his party are the ones that are attacking the
It's
current
no
Doge.
longer his party. It's the party of lunacy, to where I could care less if you have purple hair. I could care less if you have blue hair. But
Doesn't affect me.
exactly. What you do is what you do. But common sense says boys don't play girls' sports.
Right.
Common sense says boys don't hit girls. Boys don't dress and undress in girls' bathrooms. It's just common sense, and which is what 70% of the American people agree with. So how is the Democratic Party going to come to the crossroads and say, you know what? 30% of us are over here burning Teslas. 30% of us are over here doing this and this and this. Do they not realize none of that makes America better?
No. I do think that
I think they're
These-
trying to instill fear into people wanting to do the right thing or think for themselves, so you fall in line and get emotional with the left, essentially.
But I do think that the people that you're talking about too are obviously very corrupt. They're in on the game. If we were to get rid of these people and actually bring in, let's say, like real Democrats, things would change for the better compared to what we have now. Meaning, if you could put people that actually believed in the Democrat policies, they would actually, I think, be trying to change the country for the better. However, we've seen such a corrupt Democratic Party for so long now. Like you said, they don't even know what they believe, if they believe in anything at all. It's all backwards. It's far from the old Democrat Party that actually did care about the workers, that did care for these citizens. Now we just have two parties that really are so corrupt you don't even know who is, for you and who is not for you.
I look at the Democratic Party, JB, as an anti-America party now.
it's so bad that it actually is.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much been the way since 2008, I'd say.
Until
Obviously.
we allow, when you look, the hatred that came out towards Schumer for voting to keep the government running just shows you the disconnect of what really is going on in America. There's people who want things to be better. Then there's people who just want to fight and have
Right.
hatred to have hatred.
Well, they're falling in line, essentially.
But who are they falling in line for? Is it America? Because if it
No.
were America, everyone would get behind Donald Trump. What is it that you do not like about what Donald Trump's doing to make America better?
Well, he's racist.
Again, who is not benefiting? The Martians, the Russians, the Ukrainians?
I think the attack comes on multiple different levels. Like when you first start off with a judge, someone who makes like 100 to 200K a year as a federal judge is not going to waste their time trying to go against the president. They're either blackmailed, in on something,
Yeah.
or overly paid in a way that Doge hasn't found yet. Then for the people who have Trump derangement syndrome, it's like they're just simply confused. They hate the rich, and the rich
They don't believe in
ignore the
anything.
poor, so they don't understand or
How
believe
is it?
anything.
Okay, we sit here and say that.
Well, they say that. I'm just repeating what they
All
say.
right. Well, some of the poorest people in this country were in western North Carolina when Helene hit.
Okay.
And FEMA was bypassing their houses because they had Trump flags in their yards. Those people did not have a pot to piss in, but they knew and supported someone that they believed in would make America better. So it's such a spectrum of all of these colors of people, because what is real is real. Black people have woken up. Latin American people have woken up. What is it that actually is going to make your life better?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the transy? Is that going to make your life better?
No.
I think till people
Why are you going to die on
negatively
that
impacted.
ridge? Then? Why are you going to say every boy should be able to play girl black?
Blackmail's an easy one. It's very easy even to this day to do. So it's either that or they're already paid, because as a governor, they're probably paid a six-figure salary in Maine. And on top of that, either blackmailed, paid another way.
She's a woman governor in Maine, which Maine's a liberal state. I understand that. But the people of Maine do not want that.
No, I don't think they're as left-leaning as we make the state out to seem. Like Donald Trump said, he said, listen, I know that it's a left-leaning state. I did very well in that state regardless. Because at the end of the day, most normal people don't want or care for the lunacy. They just want normal lives. So when you go to them and say, hey, do you think men should be competing in women's sports? They go, no, I just want cheaper groceries and cheaper gas and whatever. But you have the media producing all this noise to make it seem like the right thing to do is to fight for men and women's sports, or the right thing to do is to fight for another country called Ukraine that has nothing to do with us, which happens to be the most corrupt country in Europe. Or to,
What do you mean? I don't know where half the money is, Gunza.
Well, they claim they don't, but obviously,
Somebody knows where it
listen,
is.
if we don't know where the money is, chances are it's in someone else's pocket, and they're not letting us see it. But my point is, the people, a lot of people have been brainwashed to believe that what they need to do is fight for things that actually don't matter and don't affect them, but they believe that it's the right thing to do. They believe that they're fighting for a good cause. All the while, they're fighting against their own country.
It's like the very beginning of the Matrix, where like Morph explains to Neo that the people that are born into the Matrix simply will fight and die for the same system that is actually hurting them. In this case, the left.
So how do you change it? Because we all lean towards happiness, safety, in an economical future that benefits all of us. So why is so many people brainwashed in the capacity that they think they should follow this path?
I think that part of it is due to, some of it might be due to social media, for example. and the echo chambers that come from social media, which are reinforced by mainstream media. People use emotion to make you think that what you've been doing in the way of life that you've been living is wrong and that you need to change and do this instead. If you listen to any quote unquote argument about why you're protesting this reason or why you're doing this, it's all emotional, and it's all because, Donald Trump's a racist, and because Ukraine is a beacon of democracy and we have to defend them, and because the people in Palestine, and it's all emotional, and they can't give you a single fact about it. So if you use emotion as a weapon, it's actually very powerful on a big group of people. Unfortunately, not everyone can be like us, where we see something and say, wait a minute, that doesn't sound at all true. It sounds like you're trying to use my emotions.
Let's ask a black person, an Hispanic person, a Pakistani person, an Israeli, a Ukrainian, a Russian person. Let's ask them all these questions. Do you want to be happy? JB, do you want to be happy?
Yeah, but yeah.
No, but do you want to be happy?
Yes.
Gonzo, do you want to be happy?
Yes, I am happy.
So am I. Do you want to be safe?
Yes.
Gonzo?
Yes.
So do I. What is it that wants to make you fight those two hurdles? Because those two hurdles are the easiest ones to go out and follow the path to allow you to stay between 11 to 1. If you want to be safe and happy, well, don't go out and protest. Don't go throw Molotovs at Tesla trucks. Tell me.
Yeah, but I have to do it because Trump is evil and he's trying to take my rights away.
Yeah, but these are the same people for the last 8+ years that were paid by the Democratic Party, like Black Lives Matter, which we've been debunked, whatever you want to say, so many times. They're paid protesters. Just like January 6th, you can get a group of people, put on a MAGA hat, then go do something wrong, and then blame the whole party for it.
Do you know anybody who was there at January 6th?
No.
Gonzo?
Not anyone real.
Well, I know several.
That's a better answer, yes.
I know several people who were there that day for the overall atmosphere.
Like they were in D.C.
They were in
But they
D.C.
didn't
Were
go.
they there for Trump's rally?
They were there for
Right.
Trump's rally.
Exactly. There's a huge difference there.
They were
Yeah.
there for Trump's rally.
Because if you had tens of thousands of people at the rally, not all of those people went to the Capitol and raided the
They
Capitol.
were there for the rally.
Right.
They did not go, quote unquote, infiltrate the Capitol, as you said, Gonzo.
Right.
They were just there to be there for the rally. We got any comments tonight, agreeing or disagreeing, or they always know that me and you are always right?
Scott Norris has joined us.
Thank God. It's good to have you back, man.
Hey!
Just saying hellos.
Scooter, where you been?
A lot of hellos out there. He said that Rob will be scared in his car this weekend. I don't know what that means. Maybe is that what you were talking about before? Okay, yeah.
Well, sometimes a butterfly's got to come out of a cocoon, buddy. It'll all work itself out. So, speaking of cars, Tesla, what is your opinion on people just unilaterally destroying people's private property?
I think that, again,
Felony.
brainwashed. Everyone that is caught should be jailed, imprisoned, fined, whatever. Pam Bondi has said if we catch anyone, they're going to be prosecuted. I mean, because if you did this for any reason, if you went out and just said, hey, I want to, firebomb Jared's Cybertruck, I'd be arrested the next day, if not the same day. I mean, that's just a matter of fact. Like, you can't go to someone else's car and set fire to it or vandalize it and expect to get away with it. Regardless of the reason, you can't do that.
What is it we talk about all the time as consequences? People have had the ability to commit crimes and do things with being able to walk away from it where there's no ramification for anything that you did. If someone went up to any of our vehicles this evening, mine or yours, because I don't think he can do it to his, and broke our window, they should be arrested.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I was just thinking. Sorry to interrupt, but you know how they
go
have like hate crimes against like cultures or race? They should have politics in there too.
I think that is
yeah.
something that's come
Yeah.
to fruition.
Because it's
Political
like, why
ideology.
are you attacking someone just because you don't like them? or at all. I mean, it should be a.
It's the same
Was
concept.
it not upcharge, enhanced?
Yeah.
Enhanced.
Because it's the
charge.
same ideology, really. It's like, I committed a crime against this guy because he's gay. I committed a crime against this guy because he votes right. It's the same thing. You're targeting someone based on their ideology or their belief system, or because of who they are.
Well, again, going back, New York City, people get away with pushing someone in front of a fucking subway. They go to jail. They're out within 2 to 3 hours until the unhinged Democratic judge or district attorneys or those people are taken away from the position they're in. They are not protecting the common American.
Right. It's like I was saying earlier. You have so much corruption in the people that are, quote unquote, serving in political office right now. Once you take that away, that automatically solves so many problems. It's only because of the corruption that we're seeing so much craziness. Like you said, some guy's able to get away with firebombing a Cybertruck. No one should be able to do that in a normal society.
No one should ever be in a position to be able to block your vehicle
That too.
to threaten you. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. If anyone ever puts you in a position to where you feel your life is in danger, we talked about the California scenario to where you should get out and run away. You should never be in a position to where you run away. Society should be in a dynamic to where if I mess with this guy, I could potentially get killed.
Right. Which is why Florida is so great with that, because, half the state owns a weapon, and the whole mentality is like, you second guess yourself. You think twice before you do something.
Fear no man, fear no evil, dance with the angels, dance with the devil, and walk with the angels and live forever. If you come up to my truck to break in, you're probably not going to walk away.
Yeah, I remember in Florida, you can't block the streets either. You can run people over legally here.
I don't really want to run over anybody. I want people to leave me alone.
Yeah.
I want to leave you alone.
Yeah.
Going back to what we talked about. You want to be gay, you want to be straight, whatever you do, that's your choice. But let me do what I want to do and leave me alone.
Exactly, because they would want to be left alone too.
Exactly.
And they're arguing that they're not being left alone. But Scott just said that an armed society is a polite society, which is exactly like what I was saying with Florida. It's like, well, I'm going to think twice before messing with Jared because he might pull a gun on me.
He just told you he's going to run over you with a Tesla.
I'm not sure which is worse, honestly. But regardless, I don't want it.
Well, the Florida, one of the things that actually Scooter sent me a message earlier in the week about is the age of a minor. Florida was trying to pass a law to where anyone under the age of 21 was going to be classified as a minor to prevent them from buying firearms.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
So
that would that mean that the age of consent would also have to be changed to 21?
it would have to be a multitude of things. Age of
So that
consent
means-
21. To join the military,
Yeah.
21.
They wouldn't do that though.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is,
military.
people forget in World War One, in World War II, you had 15-year-old boys lying about their age
Yeah.
so they could go fight for this country. So you look at the disconnect from then to now. If we were to have an unfortunate situation to where we needed young men to fight, they're going to be running to the hills. There's not.
Yeah.
You're going to get the same volunteers that have volunteered since the Civil War. You're going to get poor Southern rednecks. You're going to get the same people from the Midwest. The demographics from the military haven't changed
No,
from the
not
Civil
really.
War. There's certain groups of people who fight for this country. Every war, from the Civil War to the World Wars, to the Korean War, to the Vietnam War, to Iraq, to every conflict, there is people who want to go defend the United States of America. Then there's other people out here burning cars. I don't know where and how we get the unification. We've talked about it before. In my life, the most unified I can remember the United States being was 9/11. And since that time, it has just further and further been divided.
Yeah.
And I don't know what type of tragedy it would take to bring us all back together. But it shouldn't take tragedy
No, it shouldn't.
to make America strong and whole.
I think because unfortunately, when an event like that happens, it brings a lot of people back to reality, and they realize, hey, this is an actual bad situation that affects us all. We should work together to fight against it, because now we're all fighting over stupid stuff, or at least they make it seem like we're all fighting over stupid stuff.
Who does?
The media.
The greater social media, whether it's TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook, I think it's been a tremendous hurdle that was overcome by just people when the media wasn't controlled by certain people pitching one idea.
Right.
So that's allowing a multitude in facets to where people can actually see with their own eyes what's going on, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, because like you just said, Gonzo, when you look at storms that come in, like tornadoes that just hit the Midwest, you're not looking at the color of your neighbor to help them. You're like, holy shit, man, your house is gone.
Right.
What can I do to help you? Just like hurricanes. But it's always a tragedy that brings people together. But
Right.
then also California wildfires. You had people out there robbing people's houses. So, what is...
So it's a blue state problem?
Yes, because they're usually the ones under the most illusion.
It's no different, Gonza, JB, that what we just talked about. When you have Representative Crockett, AOC, and all of these people out there, Bernie Sanders, ranting and raving about the chaos. John Fetterman is what John Fetterman is, but guess what? John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, he relates to the common person in the United States of America, whether you're a Republican
Tries to.
In
or a
Pennsylvania,
Democrat.
I think.
He comes out.
I get what you're saying, though. He's definitely more relatable than
It-
99%
It's
of the
almost
other
as
Democrats.
if it's almost as if like he's more moderate, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have seen him actually not just follow the party, so to say, and he has gone back and forth on different issues, or like he's voted this way, but then he's voted this way. So people like that as opposed to someone like Schumer that clearly is just, or AOC, clearly following the ideology.
I don't think any of the three of us are followers. It takes a special person to be a leader, and it takes a special person to want to go out and be in a political environment to where you relate and rally people to be behind you and support you to go fight for a movement. That's what scares 50% of the country, because Donald Trump came in 2016. He did that. He magnified a group of individuals that weren't your typical rhinos. And at this point, where he is today, he has a greater grassroots of youth, college people who are behind him. It's a movement like nothing else that this country's ever seen. It's greater than Obama. It's no hope and change. This is, let's get it done right now. 55 days. If you were to put it on the table and say, look at what I've done, it's huge. Now Congress and the Senate have to pass this shit, because if not, it can be wiped away with the sign of a auto pen.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Which is why I go back to everything needs to be in person or in front of a camera, physically signed. None of this auto pen stuff. Not the fake White House or the fake Capitol that they found and actually proved.
Why and who is it that hates America?
There's a lot of people, or a lot of groups, I should say. I think it's groups that Satan himself is using to fight against God-fearing Americans. At the end of the day, who is that? People that are in the Democratic Party, that are part of the elites, that are part of a greater group.
The real thing long term is that the United States is the biggest, is the country that's the youngest in the newest experiment. So essentially, right? So you can't fight us militarily. You can only attack us from within. So they can get the left and the right, a two-party system, to fight each other. It only makes us weaker as a whole, and that's why you see.
Which is why Rome fell.
Huh? Yeah, yes.
Rome fell from within.
Yeah.
The United States can only fall from within, I believe. And I think that is part of the reason why the divide has been pushed so much. And I think that's why it's so important that this administration pushes that back and brings us together to unify under things that actually matter. We all want to be better off. We all want to be great again.
Well, it's real simple. To get great again, it starts with the children.
That's true.
It starts with the children.
It's very important to train the next generation.
So, I think it's very important to get rid of the Department of Education. And I think once that happens, as we always say, there's going to be states that accelerate, which is ironic. One of the worst performing states in the country is Mississippi. And I'm not sure if that's because of the dynamics or monetary situation, but it all starts with values.
Yeah.
You send a kindergarten to school. His first day at school, naive, knows nothing. First thing you teach that child, pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Teach the children to love the country that they live in. Teach the children to believe in what is protecting them. It is so far-fetched that people have the ability to hate this country. And we've allowed that. That happened probably in the 2000s, to where kids got disconnected from what America actually what it stands for. This is the greatest country in the world.
Exactly.
It's the land of the free, home of the brave. But you know what's left this country? The brave. Because everybody's still free. But how many people are willing to fight for the freedom they have? I'm an old man. You guys are young. But if somebody said, Crocker, we got a problem. Well, guess what? I'm going to go fucking fight.
Someone's got to do it.
And I'm going to go do it. So, anybody talking shit other than Scooter?
He says, you know what it is, meaning we know what groups are behind it all.
Elaborate.
Oh, man. Anything else? We got 10 minutes if you want to add 5 more minutes into...
Oh, I got a lot of things to say.
Let's do it.
And I want to talk about accountability, credibility. Because when you leave here tonight, you're at the mercy of everybody else on the road. But you know what you do? You trust all those people, just like I do. When we go on the road in the morning, in the afternoon, we're not saying who's going to run me over, who's going to hurt me. We believe in each other. We trust in each other, generally.
Right.
So how do we go from that to the complete disconnect to where we're out on the street screaming at one another?
Not we.
This is what I'm trying to get at, JB. It's not us.
Yeah.
How do we communicate to the person? I see stickers on cars. I see stickers that are identifiable to people that I don't agree with, that have left-leaning tendencies. You can see and identify who they are. But I don't unilaterally get angry with them because they have something on their car that I don't agree with. But if you were to have something on your car, it creates them to have a meltdown. And I don't understand why.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Not sincere, not genuine.
When you say not sincere, if you see a car that has 75 stickers on their back window,
Attention.
Yeah, pretty much.
unilaterally
Yeah.
make a decision on what they think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm not stupid. And I have pattern recognition.
Yes. So we all identify those individuals. And I don't understand how we can figure out a way to blend together. Because teachers, it's a very difficult and hard job. That's why I think it's imperative to get it away from DC. Because those people don't really give a shit. You saw that during COVID. They wanted to keep the schools locked down.
Right.
Teachers used to teach from K-5 to 12th grade. They taught those kids the whole way through.
Right.
And for some ungodly reason, we were more successful when that happened. Children were allowed to be taught. They were able to comprehend things. Now we have it to where one teacher specializes in social study.
Yeah. I think a big part of the reason why there was success in that too is because you have this one person.
Relationship.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all relationship. You're watching these kids grow up, and you're invested in their lives, and you're invested in them doing better as a human. Whereas now, you have a teacher that sees thousands of kids every day. They cycle through within less than an hour. Like they're not humans. They're just entities. They come in. Here's a lesson plan. All right, get out. And then they go home and they get drunk and they come back the next day with a hangover to do it all over again.
So, to rectify that, we're going to get rid of the Department of Education. We're going to put it back to the states. The states are going to put it back to the municipalities. So how does that transpire to making the education system a better place?
I think that it kind of goes back to what you were saying. We're not having like one entity control the narrative or what is being taught. You have grassroots. It's more grassroots, meaning that you have people that actually care about what they're teaching these young kids. You don't have one person or one entity controlling the narrative. It's like, hey, listen, this is what is true. This is what is factual. Let's take this information and give it to these young people that are coming into the new age, so to say. You're cutting the red tape. You're getting rid of the bureaucracy, and you're saying, listen, you're going to be hired because you're passionate about this, you're knowledgeable about this, and you want what's better for the kids, not because you just need a job. At the end of the day, like, that's the problem.
Speaking of jobs, people talk about the trades. We talk about this all the time. Latin Americans, their work ethic. We can teach education to where we can teach an electrician. We can teach a plumber. We can teach someone the trade. But what they've lost through the cycle of life is work ethic. They can know how to do it, but guess what they don't know how to do? Get up at 6 o'clock because their dads don't do it. Their brothers don't do it. Where you can go to union towns and you can still see people go to the union hall and go do those jobs. In the southeastern United States, that's not there. People want to go to college, they want to drink, they want to party, but when they graduate college, there's not a job for every college graduate.
No.
And without that work ethic, they don't have a place to go. They may learn the trade, but it's about the work ethic.
I do think there is a work ethic problem in this nation for sure. And I think part of the reason is because, well, a big part of the reason recently is COVID. Everyone stay home, and you get a paycheck and to not go to work, essentially. That's a big part of it. But just gradually over time, I mean, there's been reasons why do I have to go to work if I can just get a check sent to me every month and like not, I can live, you know, within my means, and you know, like there's no motivation to work.
Speaking of that right there, one of the things that Trump said recently, that he doesn't want anyone who makes less than $150,000 a year to pay taxes.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
All right. So what do y'all both think of that?
I don't have a problem with it.
It's another step in the right direction, but not
Tell
a
me
clean
why
sweep.
it's a step in the right direction.
Well, I think he should get rid of the Federal Reserve and the IRS, but it's one step closer.
All right. So if you make less than $150,000 a year, you don't have to pay taxes.
I see where you're going with this. So now what's going to happen is people are going to say, well, I'm making $140,000. I'm going to stay here because I don't want to pay taxes, which is why I'm going back to what you said. Just get rid of it entirely.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but he started off with like a few months ago, everyone was saying, "Oh no, he's not going to get rid of the tax on tips." Then he did,
right?
One step at a time. Most people don't believe it. It's the inception of the small idea that grows over time.
I agree with that.
To get more people to come in.
Because
There's so many things. There's so many things that we talked about. There's podcasts I've told people about. Hey, this is going to happen. People thought I was crazy.
Right.
You
so
told
many
him
times.
I said it, right?
Well, I said
you
that.
said that Crocker said it, so it's the truth.
But exactly, I believe what you're saying, because I don't think that it's going to have a drastic change, especially if it's only short term, leading up to the next step.
We just had this conversation 2 weeks ago where people believe that Trump wouldn't even get reelected again. It's like if you don't even believe that much, you can never get past where we need to actually ready to go. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to keep pushing. I mean,
and two, at the end of the day, if someone's making $200,000 and they're not going to be like, well, maybe I should make less so I don't pay taxes. They're still going to continue to make $200,000 and pay a little bit in taxes in the meantime until we get rid of it entirely.
The fact of the matter, the idea doesn't even have to work, right? The fact of the matter is, if you put the idea out there and people agree with, hey, you make this much money, you don't pay taxes. What if we just keep increasing at the point where, well, the world hasn't flipped over on its side?
But then
get rid of it.
Then you're going to hear, JB, the tax breaks are only for the wealthy. That's why you have to go to the sales tax. Let the wealthy buy their Mercedes. Let the wealthy buy their $200 million yacht. And the taxes come around full circle. And that way no one feels entitled. Because that $130,000 person, if they're making that, they're going to go buy a TV. They're going to go buy vehicles. They're going to go buy stuff. So they're going to pay their share of taxes.
Regardless, because they're saving money.
Yeah,
they're going to spend money. That's just how it is.
So long term, if Apple, for example, actually comes back and puts $500 billion back into the U.S., $125 billion a year, so for the next 4 years, if he gets rid of taxes, that means these big tech companies and other big companies don't have tax write-offs. Everything they buy goes right back into the economy, and that money gets back to the economy, so it all gets circulated around. So if we have a flat tax, no income taxes, then it all evens out anyways. The economy will boom. The golden age is here, just not
Kumbaya.
yet.
Let's get it on.
Yeah.
All right, guys, what you got to get off your ship? Walk the plank. I know pretty boy JB had a great week.
I mean, it's only 2 days in, but
2 days. It's been a week. It's been a week.
Oh, since last 2. Oh, okay. Oh man. Well,
what episode
I would just say. I would just say, I guess, if the JFK files are actually redacted, we can start reading them right after the show. Walk the plank. Whoever killed JFK.
Who do you think it was?
Well, I mean,
who actually killed him?
Scott Norris knows.
Who ordered the hit?
Scott Norris knows.
All I know is Al Gore was involved. Not Al Gore.
Oh, you need some coffee.
Crazy.
You need some coffee. Time traveling there.
Oh my God. Who was his vice president?
LBJ.
Thank you.
LBJ.
Thank you. He was involved for sure. Who told him to do it? I can't say it, but yeah. Who physically killed him? Maybe Oswald. Maybe there was a second shooter. We'll find out. The only reason we didn't talk about it is because they were literally released like 10 minutes before we went live.
So next episode.
So next episode we'll get it all done.
Gonzo, what do you want to walk the plank? Who do you want off our ship tonight? Other than Mike. He's already gone.
Mike's welcome back anytime.
He asked if he could come back, and I said, we'll talk about it.
I would like to...
He should drink on the show, but not before the show. That way he could join us. You know.
That way he can graduate.
Actually, we could actually get him to drink Branch and Barrel.
Yeah,
Branch and Barrel.
There you go.
He's got to wear some Blackheart gear.
There you go.
All right.
Who's gonna walk off the ship today? I would say
What was it he said? How long do I need?
Al Gore.
Al Gore?
Al Gore can walk the ship.
All right.
Not.
Everyone, the truth is strange to who all don't agree with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I want every college student to pay attention to where they are on spring break. And all resorts that have oceans have netting out there that prevent girls and guys from getting washed away if they're overserved. Have a good night.